I don't know, running pedestrians down or something.
Hello and welcome to episode 108 of the Laser Couch Podcast. We're here to give you all you need to know about consumer tech, the internet, and stuff happening from Berlin. My name is Chef Kim, and if it bleeds, we can kill it.
My name is Kelvin Lee, and this week's episode has no bezels.
Do we ever have bezels, to be fair?
Yeah, well, all they did this year at IFA, which is what we're going to be talking about, is they moved the bezels around. But we'll talk about that in a second.
Well, should we? Because I have a clip on that.
Do you want to? Should we start a bit? No, let's just explain what we're doing this week.
Oh, okay. Bit of that. All right. So we got two kind of events that have happened in the last about 10 days. The first one we're going to talk about IFA, and that's happening in Berlin, like I said in the intro. Very creative way to intro this. And what is it? It's like a CES 2.0, would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's Europe's version of CES.
The technology trade show.
That's right.
Or like consumer technology. So you get a lot of TVs, you get a lot of laptops,
a lot of phones.
Phones, yes, especially Sony. What's the second event, Kelvin?
Well, the second one is PAX West, which is sort of our gaming convention.
Mm-hmm.
This year it was held in Seattle. Yep. So we're going to go through that in a little bit of detail in the second half of the show.
Yep, so on to Berlin and IFA, and don't ask me what that stands for because it's some German word.
Come on, give it a go.
I don't even have it written down here, so I didn't even bother. But speaking of a bezel-less future, here is The Verge, and they very much agree with us here, and here's what they say.
From Acer's Swift 5 and Swift 7 to Asus's new ZenBooks to Lenovo's updated Yoga laptops, it seems that every new computer this year has just ditched its bezels at the door. And it's not a new trend in tech either. The bezel-less revolution has been sweeping through smartphones for the last year. And where devices like the Essential Phone or iPhone X were once eye-catching, they've quickly become the norm across the industry. And now that the smaller screens of smartphones have been solved, it seems that we've decided that the next step is laptops.
Well, not solved for everyone just yet, I don't think, with phones. But yeah, that's definite trend, and everyone seems to be talking about it this week.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at all the videos, like, the top 5 laptops and things like that. There are some screens that are, what would like you can now fit like a 14-inch screen in the same body size as an old 13-inch laptop. So you're gonna get more screen in smaller laptops.
Yeah, and we're talking about like 93% screen to display ratio, if you count the bezels as the remaining 7%.
That's right.
But what the other thing is, with this sort of move towards a bezel-less future, they're doing some weird things with the hinges as well, with the laptops.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, we're seeing a couple of examples where it's raised and things like that.
Yep, and one of them, I think it's one of the yoga books, actually has a soundbar in the actual hinge in the middle. The middle part is a soundbar, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I've actually got a clip on one of the Lenovo's. It's one of the sort of it's been shown before. So it's the Yoga C930 with 2 screens. Do you have any clips on this?
I kind of do, but let's go with yours.
Great. So one of my favorite guys on YouTube is, his name is Jaime Rivera from Pocket Now.
Jaime what?
Rivera. Wait, what did you think I said? So I unfortunately I don't have this in the clip, but if you ever get a chance, just listen to him pronounce his name. He just says it as one line. So this is like Jaime Rivera. So I'm just going to play this clip.
My favorite of the show to be the new Yoga Book C930. This is a successor to the former Yoga Book that we reviewed in the past and weren't really impressed by because of Android. This is now Windows 4 i5 or an M3 depending on the configuration you choose. I can't tell you enough how much I love this design. It's just so portable and so practical that I really want to give it a try for review. We have a 10.8-inch 2560 by 1600 IPS LCD touchscreen, and the cherry topper is the secondary e-ink display of the same footprint. E-ink serves to become your keyboard with the great thing that you can actually select whatever language you want. You can also use it as an e-reader, doodling, or other artistic purposes. It'll even work with PDF documents as well.
So yeah, so it's back to the old form factor. Lenovo's been trying to do this for a while now, but unfortunately, the first iteration was on Android, and that really sucked bad. So now you get one on Windows 10, and apparently it works okay.
Yeah, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason why it's called the Yoga is kind of like it sort of bends all the way, right? Like it's not just
Hmm.
it doesn't stop at 60 degrees. It goes all the way, and you can transform it to a tablet. I believe that's why it was called the
Yeah,
Yoga. But yeah,
yeah,
so this
yeah,
is like
totally.
the third or fourth iteration of that, and we talked a little bit of like dual display laptops
Mm,
or double tablets. I'm not sure whichever way you want to look at it, but the keyboard is kind of cool because although it's e-ink, there's a bit of haptic feedback as you type. And the
yeah.
other thing you get is a bit of animation just to trick your brain into thinking it's an actual keyboard.
So they've obviously, thought this through because, like you said, they've gone through so many iterations, but because you can flip the screen all the way the other side, you can save a bit of energy if you're reading, PDFs or documents
Mm.
and use the full color screen when you need to play videos or other high intensity activities.
I feel like this would be something perfect for work purposes, like portable.
Mm,
I mean, like we at our work office we have dock stations and we got like those big mechanical. They're not mechanical, are they?
what,
Are
the
they?
keyboards?
Yeah, the keyboards. Would you count them as mechanical?
Oh, no, I think
Not
they're still
really.
membranes.
Okay. Anyway, better than the sort of the laptop type of keyboards. But yeah, this I think I think we tend to write less these days. That maybe that's not true. We still email, but yeah, like I think if we can use that as a somewhat of a like with the stylus, draw things on it as well. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, but even if
Perfect for
you
me
are,
anyway.
yeah, even if you are a writer, if you are a serious writer, you're going to hook up a full size keyboard when you do want to
Mm,
type,
true. True.
your autobiography. So the
Mm,
fact that, it's a 10-inch laptop, you're going to be carrying this around a lot, and the battery life is going to be pretty insane because of that e-ink screen. But I think the language aspect is quite interesting because the problem with a physical keyboard is I can't make the words change into, my language. But with
mm,
an e-ink, I can make it into whatever I want. So it could be Chinese, it could be like anything else, Hebrew. So yeah, it's just a switch of a bit of drivers, a bit of software, and ta-da, you get a whole different language keyboard.
That was the selling point for the original iPhone when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. Remember that?
Really? I didn't know
He was
that.
saying, well, no, because at the time there it was, you had physical keyboards, right, on your phones.
That's right.
So he was saying, when he showed off the full screen, it was like, oh, the bottom 40% of this of the display is actually covered by something you can't change. Now you can use a keyboard in any language, and you can do whatever you like. If you don't need a
Mm,
keyboard, you can put it away so you get the full screen, things like that. So I think
yeah.
as long as that e-ink keyboard can be used for other things, or maybe next year's version might be slightly better than this one, obviously.
Yeah, yeah, no, totally.
Yeah. The other cool thing about this yoga book, I don't know if you if your friend Jaime mentioned it, but to open, like once it's closed and shut, the way to open this one.
I saw a little like GIF of it, but I didn't quite get it.
You actually knock on it with your knuckles, like knocking on a door.
Oh,
You knock it twice and it opens up. There's some sort of
that's
magnetic
pretty
thing that does
cool.
that.
That's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So I like that one. What else have we got? Um, so I think a lot of the publications are talking about the yoga book. That seems to be the highlight for everyone. I really like the concept. It's kind of new, it's practical, it's different, and yeah, all these companies are sort of pushing that innovative line and trying out new things, which is cool.
Hmm.
Did you see the massive gaming uh, platform?
I think
The Acer Predator Thronos, it's called.
no, I didn't see this one.
Okay, I have a clip. Here we go. This is from The Verge again.
Next up is the chair that's behind me, Acer's Predator Thronos. This is a completely ridiculous device. It's a 485-pound gaming chair. It's got a mechanical arm that can support up to three 27-inch screens to just encompass your entire field of vision. It has motorized footrest. It has a motorized foot pedal in case you don't want to use the motorized footrest. The keyboard swings out. You sit down in this, and it just encases you like a cage of gaming joy. I actually got to try it out for a few minutes here, and I love it. It's just completely ridiculous in the best kind of way.
Okay, that's really cool. You can like feel each individual bullet shot because the chair has haptic feedback.
Right. So I don't know if you can get a sense of what this looks like. You might want to open the article in the clip here, but
Yep.
You're in a capsule of sorts in this armchair, and the three screens which are stitched together horizontally. They kind of come over the top of you, over your head.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm looking at it right now. It's
Okay.
pretty hectic. I'm just looking for a price because these things are usually really expensive.
They didn't. I think they don't have a price. It's not obviously available for consumers, but I don't know. Like, what would you have to be? What kind of person do you have to be to buy one of these?
One, you would have to live in a basement. Two, I don't know. I think all you need, an IV drip and a toilet somehow, and your life is sorted, right?
Yeah, and someone to get your coffee, and maybe I don't know. You can go to the toilet in your chair as well. Yeah, but
But it's gonna. I think they need to work on the name though.
yeah. The Predator Thronos.
Thronos. Oh god. Anyway, keep going.
That's about all I got about that one. I mean, he pretty much told you the specs. It's got a footrest which is motorized, and you can like spin it around. And I'm not sure if it's got air conditioning, but maybe you need it. Next one. Obviously, at a trade show like IFA, you're going to have a lot of TVs, and I think probably for the last couple of years, the whole 8K thing's been up there. Here's Engadget's take on the whole thing, and that's my cat dropping. Okay. All right. He's Engadget on the whole TV thing at IFA.
As you've probably gathered, we're here at IFA. Now, as is the same in every trade show, when it comes to TVs, it's kind of a pissing contest between Samsung and LG. Now, Samsung's already announced its first consumer 8K TV, so of course LG has to announce one too. Now, what LG says is different about its TV, not only is it 88-inch, which is bigger than the biggest Samsung model, but it's the first OLED 8K TV as opposed to Samsung's QLED 8K TV.
I really like this guy's style. I didn't get his name, but tells it like it is. It is a pissing contest, right? It's like the perfect way to describe the whole LG versus Samsung, at least in the TV sense. So basically Samsung brings out a 8K 80-something inch TV, like LG has to do the same.
Yeah, and you know what? At least TVs is not as bad as, I don't know, do they put fridges up against each other at CES and microwaves? So it's always going to be LG versus Samsung. Who I really feel for is Sony. I didn't clip anything from Sony's presentation, but it wasn't impressive. You really, all the news reports you read and all the YouTube videos are all about LG versus Samsung, at least in the TV space.
I was a bit tight for time this week, Calvin, so I didn't get to see all the keynotes. I know, the big companies were there, did the half an hour spiel, like, Acer. I've got a little bit of clip from Acer coming up. Obviously the big Korean companies and Sony as well. So apologies there, guys. But I can kind of imagine how badly they might deliver something like this.
Yeah.
Just the thing with 8K, the whole OLED and QLED kind of technology, which probably is meaningless. We're not going to have content for at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah,
Mainstream. The day Netflix gets streams in 8K, you would have to have NBN in every household. So it's not likely. I mean, like it's almost like the infrastructure has to catch up with the hardware these days, right?
That's right. I mean, when you think about how 4K TVs were launched in 2013, it took a while before the content caught up. I mean, we had Blu-rays and things like that, but the hardware was really expensive. You had to buy the player, the Blu-ray discs were expensive. The only good thing that come out of this is with the sort of noise around 8K, your 4K TV is going to get really cheap now, because they're going to have to start preparing for, production and things like that for 8K screens. So I think it's, a good year to grab a 4K TV.
I don't know about right now, maybe in the next couple of years, definitely. But just because 8K is not a reality right now, I mean, these are just, display units. they're not going to be, in the stores or Amazon or whatever anytime
Mm.
soon. Now, just a question, just a lot of people have been asking about new TVs. I've been considering getting a new one for my parents.
Mm.
Like this day in 2018, in October, or what are we? September 2018. If you're getting a new TV, does it have to be 4K?
I I would definitely do 4K only because of Netflix. I think unless your parents don't watch Netflix, then maybe it's not so much of a big deal. But because of easily accessible content in YouTube, and well, some YouTubers are shooting in 4K like MKBHD. The fact that you can get some Netflix shows already in 4K, I would do it. And just to prepare yourself for the newer shows on other your streaming platform of choice is going to jump into 4K soon. And depending on the price, I just don't know if you save that much. It depends on how big you want your TV to be as well. So there's a lot of factors in play. But if you can afford it, I say go for it.
Sure. Yeah, my dad watches a little bit of Netflix. There's a lot of Korean
Mm.
documentaries, apparently. I think I saw that Foxtel or Fox Sports, or maybe Foxtel in general, are bringing out their first 4K channel just this month. So it just goes to show how far behind Australia is to the rest of
Yeah,
the world.
yeah.
So yeah, like we're at least 2 years behind there. Um, have you got any more lined up? I want to play. If you don't, I want to play something from Jason Chen. And if you don't recognize that name, he's the CEO of Acer. And I caught a little glimpse of their keynote, and he seems to have a very particular style, and I think you can tell from this clip here.
IPD optics. So for each individual user, it measures the distance between the pupils, and it makes a very clear image.
So that it fits different people.
Yeah, because each person is a little bit different. It's going to customize the experience for that individual user. And it features a sound pipe that brings sound to the user's
So
ear.
it's all in one.
All in one. The headset.
Yes. So I should have mentioned that he was the second guy interrupting.
I was like, wow, he really worked on his English in the last 20 years. Yeah.
Yeah, he's. They were talking about what was it called? The I think the Smart V1 VR headset HMD, and it's got this eye tracking technology inside. But I didn't want to talk about the content of the thing. I just wanted to show you his style of presentation.
Yeah, he just kept interrupting the poor guy. So you know what? It as much as we laugh about Apple's how rigorous they are with their rehearsals and stuff for their announcements, and you see Samsung and Nvidia, all the other events we've been catching up on. There is a certain level of polish there, and it just shows. So Acer's got a bit of catching up to do in its branding / PR events space for sure.
I mean, you got guys like Jensen Huang, who we featured last time, and he's Taiwanese, I think you said.
Yeah,
but he's very articulate, quite headstrong, confident. I mean, like you really want to listen to him when he talks, right? Even though when he's just mucking around sometimes. And then you get like the Jason Chens of the world, who like he's not even that old. Like he seems maybe mid-30s. So I'd like to know the background story of Acer. I don't know if you know anything, but how the rise of these Chinese companies come about, and with all these entrepreneurs having to at least learn English and present at these trade shows.
Yeah, but it's also the kind of company you want to be. I feel like Nvidia, Samsung, and LG, they are pioneering a lot of new things. Acer is very much a copycat.
Yeah,
they're not going to do anything. They're not going to create new segments. Not going to create mind-blowing things. They're just going to keep up.
What about Lenovo then? Because we talked about the yoga books. I know they've been doing other stuff with like gaming laptops. Would you put them in the same bucket as Acer?
No, I would definitely put them better than Acer. I think like the Lenovo X1 Carbon and some of their gaming laptops I've seen in person are actually really impressive, made of good quality. Something about the branding as well. Maybe because when I was working at a company, one of my first jobs, I had a IBM ThinkPad, and I was throwing this thing in the car. I remember, my wife had one as well, and she threw it at me across the bed, and like it was fine, like it was indestructible. So I think they've learned a lot from what they bought from IBM. So Lenovo's got a good baseline to work with, and they probably invest a lot more in engineering and things like that.
Yeah, that would have helped them a lot because that the red dot in the middle of the keyboard is so iconic, and you can just tell straight away that's a ThinkPad, right?
Yeah, they still kept it. That's the surprising thing.
Yeah, they still have it. Yeah. Probably one last thing, a bit of a fun thing before we leave IFA and move on to PAX. You got nothing else, right?
I've got a quick one on some speakers and things, but I'll play that really quickly just before you close it off. I mean, how can you have a technology event these days without a bit about speakers and voice control? And I'll clip this in the show notes. But have you heard the publication Digital Trends?
I have.
I remember they used to be a very average publication, like they just copied press releases and stuff. But if you check out their website, check out their videos now, they're actually getting pretty impressive. So here's a quick one on what's happening in the speakers and voice control space.
What about smart home? There were a lot of smart home devices as you would expect, but our favorite would have to be the Netgear Orbi Voice. This is both a mesh Wi-Fi network assistant as well as a smart speaker designed by Harman Kardon. You can pre-order it for $429 right now, expected to ship later this year. What about voice control? Yes, Alexa and Google Assistant were everywhere. Bang & Olufsen, for its part, included Google Assistant in some of its fancy speakers, but it was its Edge speaker that absolutely blew our minds. But in addition to the fact that Alexa and Google Assistant were everywhere, we found out from Amazon through its keynote speech that it's going to be working on contextual responses. That means that you don't have to follow up a question with a complete question. You can just keep asking it questions as you go along. So hopefully voice assistants will be getting smarter in the coming year.
Yeah, so just a quick one there. I'm not sure if everyone knows what a Wi-Fi mesh is. It's basically a bunch of little routers that you can put in the house to cover any Wi-Fi black spots that you might have. So as you put this together, what Netgear has done is they've included smart speakers into these mesh routers, which is really smart because if you're going to put a router in every corner of the house, now you can play music through it, which I think is a great idea.
Yeah. Yes, I did see some of those smart speakers and they were very impressive looking.
No, so that's totally cool. And, a quick one about Amazon looking at contextual voice. That's something that, Google Assistant does really well, and so does Siri. So it's more catch-up play from Amazon.
So just before we close off this segment, Segway is one of our favorite companies that we talk about. And back in the day, Kelvin, at the Lazy Couch, we tried the hoverboards, not by Segway, but that sort of concept of, I don't know, what category did we coin them as?
Hoverboards.
Walkables or something?
Walkables, that's right.
So imagine that, but Segway now has feet on wheels.
Feet on wheels.
So they're individual, they're the individual things that go under your feet. So one for your left foot, one for your right foot.
I'm looking at the article right now. Okay. It looks strange.
It does look kind of strange, and it looks very dangerous because it's like you're sort of like balancing on a unicycle, right? On two unicycles actually. Now Engadget again. The guy that talked about the LG and Samsung piss wall. He tried it out on the show floor, and this is his experience.
The Segway reps in the demo area actually describe it very well, which is just think about it. They don't even go through the kind of technical process of actually you're using your body weight to move. They just say, think about moving forward, look ahead, don't look down. And within a couple of minutes, I was riding around pretty naturally.
And how fast am I going now? Like one, basically, right?
Yeah, maybe not even.
Right, probably 1 mile per hour or something like that. But later on you see clips of him going fairly fast. Like probably at the same pace as your fast walking pace maybe. So like that was only after around 15 minutes of him trying, and like from our experience of those hoverboards, 2-3 years ago, like we did pick it up fairly quickly too, right?
Yeah, but this sounds a lot easier.
I don't know about easier. Like I reckon I might struggle probably for the first couple of minutes because I've seen like clips of people just like doing that sort of back and forth rocking thing that we did when like imagine doing that with one thing on both of your feet. So yeah, I don't know if it's the future. Look, I have a feeling that I saw something like that. Maybe I dreamt it somewhere in Sydney, but yeah, I dream a lot of things, so maybe not. But yeah, should we look out for them in the future?
Yeah, and on a slight side story, I remember coming across an article today that Sydney's about to get its first share electric scooter company.
Okay.
So you know the ones that the gents at No Agenda Show keep bitching about. One is coming soon. So you walk up to one of these electric kick scooters. You do the typical QR code thing, and you get to take one and ride away on, I don't know, running pedestrians down or something.
And then you just leave them anywhere.
Yeah, like in the river.
I think I also read or heard this morning that not so much electronic stuff, but like bikes that do the same thing, push bikes. I think one of the companies are getting out of Manchester because like 40% of them, go missing every month or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work out, and I think you still need a government-backed share bike experience with designated parking spots. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, we work, around Darling Harbour, and it is fairly, flat around there. So imagine like if there were a lot of them between our two buildings, or even to lunch and come back. I might try that out.
Yeah. So hey, watch the space. Jeff and I will be on our electric scooters, trying not to kill ourselves.
Check our Instagram or something.
Yes.
Speaking of checking our Instagram, you can by following us on that, that'll help and spreading the word. But also, go to iTunes. We did have a bit of a spike this week, I noticed, on a couple of days. So not sure where that's coming from, but keep the likes and comments coming. Spread the word. Tell your friends at work, even your boss. You're gonna like listen to one of our episodes, and you can talk about it at your team meeting, and all your colleagues will be like, "Oh my god, where did you hear that?" And there's only one answer for that.
Yeah, or do what we did. Run into an electronics store, find a Google Assistant, and just yell, play the Lazy Couch podcast, and run out the store.
That's right. So helping us would be really great, so we can do this more often.
Definitely.
All right. Where are we going? PAX.
PAX. Yes, so PAX. Yeah, PAX West, more specifically. So it's a gaming convention. It's held in Seattle. It runs over 3 days. We're not a lot of PAX was about gaming. You got to see PUBG players like Shroud and all that, competitions, a lot of cosplay. So this is not an easy event to cover over podcast. I mean, a lot of it is visual. A lot of people dressed up as the Halo commander and things like that. So we're just going to go through some of the bigger highlights.
Would you say it's more geared towards a bit of the indie developers and indie gaming scene? Would it be more geared towards that?
So spread across the 3 days, there are parts of the days that were just dedicated to the independent publishers, which is really cool. And a lot of them are doing a lot of good retro games. But I thought first I kick off with what's happening with Switch. Switch is in a weird place. Like, they're trying to bring things like Diablo to the Nintendo Switch. And they're bringing across a lot of these games where, because it's a portable device, you're going to need different games to sort of really make full use of the different controls and things like that. There's a really funny game. It doesn't have a title yet, so it's called the Untitled Goose Game. I'm going to let IGN just explain what that is.
Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Jonathan Dormish from IGN. I am here at PAX West 2018 with my wonderful coworker, Tom Marks.
Hello!
And we just saw a bunch of cool games coming to Nintendo Switch. There is a lot coming, as they showed in that recent Indie Showcase. We want to talk about a few of the coolest ones we saw. Tom, tell me about Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, I mean, this is one we've seen around for a while, but I was so happy to finally get a chance to play, and on Switch. basically it's a puzzle game, but you are a goose, and
Of
you are a
course.
very sort of physicsy, wobbly goose that can honk, and you annoy a farmer. It's a very strange little game, but you have a checklist of things you got to do that are like rake in the lake, and then you have to grab the rake with your little beak, and then kind of pull it into the water, and that'll like check it off, and then you do other things. We don't really know what that full game is going to be like, or if there's going to be probably like levels. We're not totally sure. It doesn't even have a name yet, but
I hope it is Untitled Goose Game.
Yeah, I do too, but it's very fun.
The Goose Simulator?
Yeah, pretty much. And and there were 2 other games they were mentioning, but I just couldn't do it because they don't appeal to me at all. So I'm wondering whether the Nintendo Switch, I don't know if you know anyone who has a Nintendo Switch, because I don't. I feel like it's definitely targeted towards a much younger demographic now. So yeah, I just don't know how to I don't know how introducing games like Diablo and all that's going to work out for it, because it looks like games like this are the ones that are garnering the most amount of interest, and I feel like it's built for like 10-year-olds.
I think the key market for the Switch is like obviously the younger audience, the pre-teens and the teens maybe, but also I think there's like I don't know, like that sort of slice of 25 to 33-year-old market where, they grew up with like these 90s games, and, for the nostalgia, with Zelda. Like imagine if you grew up with Zelda. I didn't do that. I grew up before Zelda. So, I played a lot of Amiga games, for example, but like I missed out on that 90s sort of retro stuff. So I think that's the other market for Switch.
So that's a really good segue. I was looking through all the articles, and the one that really caught my eye, and the one that I spent too many coins on in the arcade, was Streets of Rage. Do you remember Streets of Rage?
Ooh.
To jog your memory a little bit, I'm going to play the theme song from Streets of Rage. So this is 1991, so I was 8 years old, and this might bring back a few memories. So yeah, not sure if it did anything for you, but that's pretty much how all games sounded, coming to think of it, in 1990s. So they're bringing back Street of Rage 4. So you had characters like Axel and things like that. So it was originally on the Sega Master System.
Yeah.
So that's going to get remade. So you're right. A lot of these old games are going to be, made on the Nintendo Switch. And yeah, I think people are going to have fun playing that on the train to work.
It's actually by a French studio called Lizard Cube. And they did, in 2016, a remake of Wonder Boy, which I'm very familiar with. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. The other really big... Sorry, did you have something to say?
No, just I don't know. I'm just reacting to things at the moment.
So the other really big announcement, for me at least, an old gamer, is Valve. So Valve is the company behind Steam, which everybody has on their computers if you game with it, in 5 years. It's called Artifact. It's a card game based on their other game, Dota. So it's very similar to Hearthstone, but I'm going to let those 2 blokes on IGN explain what exactly it is. So here we go.
I was surprised by how quickly I got into this. My first match was against an AI opponent, so granted there was a little bit of, not ease necessarily to their difficulty, I'd say, but there was a wiggle room for me. Yes, there was wiggle room for me to learn the mechanics of it, and I got the hang of it. It felt like almost within 2 rounds. Like I understood there are 3 lanes, 3 different sort of games going on simultaneously, but that didn't make it go like, oh no, where is my strategy going? I don't know really what to focus on, because after a couple rounds and after you start playing cards, it becomes easy to be like, okay, I need to focus here with this and here with this, and may have to abandon that, but that's okay.
And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you first looked at the gameplay, did you have any idea what was going on?
No, I had no clue. I saw like 2 images, and there's like 25 cards on screen at once, and when it showed you all 3 lanes, and I'm like, what is happening? How do you keep track of all of this? There are at least 12 different numbers, and that's a lot of numbers for me. I'm not a big numbers man myself. But it was just like, oh, wow, this looks super dense. But when you get into it, at like minute by minute, you're not focusing on everything all at once. You really can hone in and be like, I'm playing this card. Okay, move on to this. Yeah, I'll play this card. okay, let's see how they reacted. Now I'll play this. Like there is an ease and an understanding that you get to it pretty quickly, and I loved that.
So Jeff, have you ever played Dota?
I have not.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of how they classify these games, but in the game you have 3 lanes against another team of opponents. So the way they've built artifacts is there are 3 boards. So you have to attack on all 3 fronts to get to your opponent's base and destroy their base.
Yeah.
So it actually created this huge board, but you can only focus on 1 lane at a time. It's hard to explain, and I haven't played the game myself. It's going to be $20. It's going to be out in November. They're giving out some beta keys and things like that. It looks super fascinating. If you're a big Dota fan, you're definitely going to love it. And you know what? I think if you play Hearthstone and things like that, this would be a good addition to your card gaming.
Are you still playing that, by the way?
No. Like
Okay.
it requires so much strategy, and there are so many people who spend way too many hours in that. It's not a game you can just walk away from. You're going to have to get used to all the combinations and things like that.
So it's
but
not
the card game.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask because Dota is like a team up game, right? Like you have to be in threes. Is it threes or?
It's 5v5.
5v5. Okay, so it's like that sort of concept, but then so the 3 lanes would constitute as like a player each.
Yeah. So in Dota, you can players can move left and right because it's like a little bit like Command and Conquer back in the day. But I feel like the board game looks like it's just 1v1, but you control different cards that span across the lanes. It looks fascinating.
So it uses Dota IP like the characters in the way that Hearthstone uses. Is it World of Warcraft?
Yeah, Warcraft. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the way I think about it.
Or Warcraft, sorry, not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft itself. Very interesting. It also reminds me of Clash of Clans. No, not that one. What's the other? Battle Royale?
Oh.
Royale.
No,
Clash Royale. Clash Royale.
Clash Royale, thank you.
Yeah. In the same way that you've got 3 ways of attacking.
That's right. It's quite similar in that sense, but it's a full-on card game with a lot more mechanics.
So we're going to say this game, which was called Artifact, I had to look that up, is a cross between Dota, Battle Royale, Clash Royale, and Hearthstone. Yes, we're going to go with that.
Go with that. So
That's your take out.
Yeah, those are the things that really stood out for me with PAX West. I mean, there's a lot more content there. There was Microsoft there. There were a couple of the indies, like you mentioned. It was a lot to look out for, but it really is for the gamer, I feel, PAX West. It's not as publisher heavy as the other gaming events. So a lot of cosplay, a lot of actual gaming. People are there playing card games. People are there playing PUBG and LAN gaming. So it really is, for me, I feel like for the player. Hence why it's hard to sort of do examples of what was there.
Yeah. That's really good. Now, do you know where PAX South is?
Oh, no.
It's in Melbourne, Kelvin.
Are you serious?
It happens in Melbourne. I think they might rotate with another place, maybe.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at it now.
The guys at one of the other podcasts that I can't think of, Reckoner, they go there every year. It's something, friends of the show, Paul, and we wanted to go last year actually, but we sort of pulled out last minute.
Yeah.
But I think something to check out. It seems one for the gamers and for the gamers.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So it's called PAX Oz. It is in Melbourne from October 26 to 28. I'm just trying to find a cost to see registration. Let me have a look. So it's happening in 49 days. There's a cool little countdown blog. It's $70 a day, which I think is reasonable. The 3-day tickets are sold out, which is a bit of a bummer. But if you're a gamer, if you're in Australia, Melbourne's pretty cool. Definitely go check it out.
Yeah. Now, perhaps one last thing before we close for this episode. Imagine, in a few years' time, we're going to be regarded as seniors, unfortunately.
Wow, that took a turn.
And I don't know, you're a married man, so maybe not so bad for you. But like for a single guy like me, I may need to call on this service And that might sound a bit dodgy, but like, hear me out. Here it is. This is TechCrunch talking about the newest Y Combinator success story called Papa.
We connect college students to seniors. We send them to their homes for house help. We teach them how to use computers like social media and FaceTime their grandchildren. We ride them to doctor's office. We provide transportation. But most importantly, we're providing a social experience. Loneliness is a disease that's being recognized by health plans and Medicare as well. It affects one's health in many ways. It could create premature death, depression, and other things. So underlying, the biggest benefit we provide is companionship, really trying to solve for that problem.
So it's been dubbed Grandkids on Demand.
Slaves. No, I think it's a cool concept. It's funny, isn't it? I've been reading. I came across this article where a lot of kids are actually jumping off Instagram and Facebook because they just don't like it anymore. There's too much noise. You know, people are being way too bitchy on those platforms. But now you see kids helping kids. I mean, helping older people. I feel like we're coming full circle with kids, and because there was this concern where these kids will be antisocial because all they do is stare at screens. I like it. I like where this is going.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really cool thing. It's such a simple idea as well. Just, you know, where is a gap in the market? There are lonely people out there. You know, in the West especially, it's an aging population. So yeah, I hope they make money. And I'm sure they will. And I'm sort of like upset that I didn't think of this idea, because this is exactly the thing that I'm thinking about. But anyway, that's what happens. I got nothing, nothing else. I think we can close the show.
Cool. So talking about, you know, slaves. If you enjoyed listening to the show, you can check out all the other 107 episodes on our website, which is thelazycouch.com. Don't forget to search for the Lazy Couch Podcast across all the big social networks from Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you really enjoyed the show, don't forget to rate us on whatever app or service you're using, especially iTunes. Rate us, give us some feedback, tell us what you want to hear. This is Kelvin out.
And this is Jeff out? Question mark?
Yeah, I messed that one up. I don't know. I just yeah, that's not even, yeah. I can't explain myself
it's
anymore.
11:17. Pretty late. I imagine you woke up early this morning.
Yeah, no, it's like 6:30 every day for me now. At least I didn't say Kelv in out, because that would be worse. Yeah, let's leave it as
What did you say? You said Kelvin out. Yeah, that works.
I said Kelvin out. Yeah, but you know, yeah, that kind of works.
I almost said Jeffin out.
Yeah, all right. Jeffin out. It's like Jeffin is a kind of puffin.
Jeffin, yeah.